This is Hank for the Wildflower Bee Farm. It's so windy I had to do a narration here because it wasn't possible to hear me. So this is a split we're doing of a split, which is a little bizarre, but you know I've been doing that 4 or 5 times in July, mid to late July. Here I'm taking off the what we call the moisture blanket after having put some smoke in the front. And I'm going to have a look and see if all the frames are covered with bees. So if there's 10 frames covered with bees, we call that a 10 framer basically, and it's full of bees. This one is full of bees and full of honey. It's almost honey bound, if you will. So I go in and start looking and saying, okay, where am I going to find? Now the problem with the wind is, as you can see, it blows away the smoke. So the smoke doesn't really do what it should do. And I like to use a lot of smoke so that I don't really want to take a queen with me if I'm going to do a split. And remember, the research says splits in July aren't worth a fly. So this is a risk, because I'm not only risking the existing hive, I'm risking the new hive I'm trying to make, which is kind of dumb, you might think, but we are about research and we're trying to understand what's the best way to account for what's going on. And that first frame is just stock full of honey. And that's great. That tells you there's a lot of resources there. Now I'm going into the next frame over to see what I can find. And not surprisingly, it's a bit weird because this is a frame that's right beside that one. It's still not in the middle, but it does have brood and eggs on it. So I do decide to take that one. Let's have a look and see what happens here. See, if you look at it, you can see there's all kinds of brood and eggs, and it's a little tough. I show it pretty quick, but it's one that I'm going to take with me for the next step in the process, which is the split. I'm going to go ahead and take another frame. Now, the danger is taking too many, of course, because you weaken the hive and it can get robbed this time of the year, or you take the queen accidentally, or not accidentally, but you take the queen and the bees, for whatever reason, don't raise a new queen in time, and they don't make it through. So, yeah, it's risky, but we're trying to understand how to help the bees with everything that's going on around. And you can see all the honey on the top of that frame and the brood there, and there's also eggs. And so I decided, now you can see there's honey at the top of that, so it almost looks like the queen, where the bees had moved some honey around so that the queen would have room to lay. So it's kind of a constant battle the bees have between that and getting ready for winter. And that's all I'm going to do. I took those 3 frames and I'm going to now put the frames, empty frames, back in for the bees to fill up. Now remember, we're almost on the verge of the goldenrod, and the clover's blooming. You can see some of the white sweet clover there, and I just found it all over the farm. And soon the all-sick clover is also going, which is pretty exciting to watch as well. So I take 3 frames over. I take 1 resources of honey there, and the other 2 frames, and let it go. And that's on a small nuke that I just moved back from that area, and let's see what happens. It's going to stay in a 5-frame nuke all winter. Now I'm just trying to get the bees away so I can put the lid back on. And other than coming perhaps later and refilling the top moisture blanket with more material to help them get through the winter, that's the last time this hive will be open. I'm Hank for the Wildflower Bee Farm. That's the split of this hive on a very windy day.